Even if we look at the situations that we deal with today in Canada, whether it's issues around affordable housing or issues that are faced by our Indigenous communities on a daily basis, again, whether it's housing, access to food, and so forth, I would argue that design with innovation and technology can address these goals. I would argue that design can be a catalyst for positive change. And so this, to us, is the new definition of design. Design has the ability to create tremendous social impact. Sure, design is still about beauty. It's still about a great handbag or a fantastically new luxurious car or a great iPhone. But what if that iPhone could be used to have an app that transports blood by drone to communities in Rwanda? What if that handbag had a portable medical kit for communities in northern Canada, and so forth? And so I'm going to show you a little bit about what we think design is and what the capacity and strength of an opportunity for design is today. Here are a few examples of some of my favorite projects. This is Boyan Slat. He's 19 years old. He discovered a way in which to create an artificial barrier reef to clean the oceans of plastic. He was a big scuba diver, was constantly being bombarded, literally, with plastic, and came up with this idea. And Ocean Cleanup will launch in early 2018, and within 5 years, they predict that all of the ocean's plastic will be reduced by 50% and completely removed within 10 years. This is a project by an architect named Sue Fujimoto. It's in Paris. It's called 1,000 Trees. It's the idea that we can bring green living back to our urban centers, because certainly today we're struggling with that balance. This is a project by Terraform out of New York. It's this fantasy kind of approach to what could the greenest New York look like. Certainly very green and very exciting. This is two projects that we have side by side here. The one on the left is by Foster and Partners with NASA, and basically it's a project where the cars power the road powers the cars. On the other side, we have a project that's a prefab, off-the-grid, completely sustainable home that also powers the vehicle that's adjacent to it. This, of course, is Elon Musk's Hyperloop. We all know the story that it's an open source opportunity for people to compete to be part of this program. This is Massimo Bottura's Refetterio. As you may know, Massimo Bottura is a world-famous chef, and what he did was he designed this beautiful experience during Expo Milan and during the Rio Olympics where homeless people could come and have food. The food that they were eating was being prepared from the leftovers of food from the restaurants that day, and all created with some of his friends who are some of the biggest designers in the world to create a really beautiful environment and space. This is Dan Rozegaard's Smog Tower. He's a Dutch designer who has created this tower that literally cleans the air of smog. There is currently one in Beijing. I saw him last week, and he told me that the response from countries all over the developing world has been insane, and even within the developed world. So there's a huge demand for that project. This is a really fun project, and it demonstrates that you don't really need to be a big designer to achieve something. Kilias Souris is 15 years old. He did a fun architecture program at Columbia University in the summer, and he went back to his native Greece, and he created shelters made out of life preservers from Syrian refugees that had been washed up on the shore. We actually will be showing this in the project I'll talk about shortly. Detroit Empowerment Plan is a group that's created a shelter that also, a coat rather, that also turns into a sleeping bag for the city's homeless. This is a project by Google Glass with Philips IntelliView software. The idea is that as a surgeon is operating on a patient, he or she can actually see the patient's vitals right in front of them rather than having to turn away when operating. Design, technology, innovation can obviously be used to create empathy. This is a project by Verse that was done in conjunction with UNICEF. And the idea is that when you put the VR goggles on, you literally feel like you are in a refugee Syrian camp. They're using it to raise funds for refugees, but certainly a way in which to create empathy and beyond just using technology for fun. Fogo Island, you might be familiar with this project. The Fogo Island Inn was created by Zita Cobb. Zita was originally from Fogo Island, a very small community, less than 5,000 people in Newfoundland. And she went off, made billions of dollars, and then came back to invest in her community and in her town. And she created this beautiful hotel with Todd Saunders, who is originally from Newfoundland, now lives in Norway. What's interesting about this project is that she worked with all local craftspeople, local artisans. The boat makers were taught how to use use their expertise to create architecture. The people who were weavers wove the blankets and all the needs for the inn. And now this inn is ranked as one of the top 5 inns around the world and is definitely one of the most sought after locations to vacation around the planet. This is a project by Effect out of Denmark, and the idea behind that is that it's a community that is completely 100% self-sustaining, so everything that the community needs can be found within the community.